My name is Marcela Torres. I am a Toronto-based realtor. I focus mainly on Toronto and the GTA. I would say that one of my favorite things to work on with clients besides real estate is really their planning for the future when it comes to real estate.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the reason why we discussed really throwing out all these questions that some of us are afraid to ask in the industry,
Yep.
both from buyer seller standpoint and from the mortgage and realtor side, right?
Yes, exactly. So what we're going to do today is kind of give you a breakdown between the perspective of the buyer and the seller, and we're going to get some, hard-hitting questions that you might be wanting to ask, but are not doing that. So we are going to ask ourselves them for you. So you are welcome, everybody. We'll start off with the buyer's perspective.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, perfect. So, um, one of the questions that I get asked often is like, am I stretching my budget too much for this home? And I think it's such a simple question to ask, but at the same time, for me, I'm always doing this. There's no way around it. I'm always going to do this because for me, I'm going to keep you through my processes. I'm going to make sure that I take you and we're going to get you that pre-approval. And one of those things with a pre-approval is like, what what is the budget? When you get a pre-approval, if you're unaware, really what you're getting is you're getting those rates, you're getting your terms, you are getting your amortization, and most importantly, you're getting the amount of mortgage dollars, right?
That's right.
So that right there is going to set the tone, it's going to set the budget, it's going to be so helpful for you. And so really, are you too much out of your budget? No, because I'm always going to make sure that you are within the budget. And one of those things that comes with that is your closing costs, right?
Right.
A lot of people might not tell you about those up front, but for me, instantly in my customized packages, I am always running through your specific closing costs because if you're buying in Toronto, as you are well aware, those
Yes.
land transfer taxes are huge
Through the roof. Yeah.
through the roof, right? So those are things that need to be aware and you need to know what you're up to and what you're up against and all those different things. So your closing costs, if you don't know, are between 1.5 and 4%. And that's like a big chunk of change. And
Yeah.
that's something you need to be told up front. And so to go back to the original question, are you too far out of your budget? You're not going to be because I won't let you be. My biggest thing is to keep you, you know, most within your lifestyle as you possibly can be.
Yeah.
That is literally always my goal. And if there needs to be some sort of adjustments,
Yeah.
honestly, we can have some honest conversations and we could say like, would you maybe adjust your purchase price? Instead of a variable rate, do you want to try a fixed rate? Or even, instead of a 25-year amortization, would you be willing to move it to 30 years?
Those
And
are all good questions.
right? And
Yeah.
so though that happens with me and my clients within the first hour that we speak, like these are all questions that are going to be answered. And so I'm always happy about those types of questions. And I'm always going to make sure that my clients are within their budget.
And that's super important for me because and to piggyback off of that, I think one of the toughest questions that us as realtors need to start asking our clients, or that your realtor should be asking you if you are in the market as a buyer,
Yep.
is, given my financial readiness, what types of properties should I be looking at? And the reason I say this is because usually buyers tell you, right, what they're looking for.
Yep.
But sometimes not sometimes, I would say 99.9% of the time, us as mortgage agents and as realtors, we're the ones who actually guide them into situations or into, homes or properties that match or fit their budget.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the most important question that they need to be asking as well, to me, right?
For sure. For sure. I think you can't do anything without that budget.
That's right.
Otherwise, your expectations are going to be so confused and
Yeah,
everybody in the process is going to suffer from it. So really get that budget settled
that's
and
right.
there's no shame in whatever the budget might be, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And
And it helps you, like it helps you along the way. And like you said to me before, um, you know, if we know that you're on a budget, or that you're feeling unsure or insecure about that purchase, we can actually guide you along the way. We can guide you to the right resources, point you in the right direction,
Yep.
so that you get more information and you feel more confident about your purchase and your investment in real estate.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably the thing that connects us so well together is
Yeah,
really like we are both trying to empower our
that's
clients
right.
so much, and that's really our main goal, I
That's
think,
right.
always. So, yeah, with that, another one of the questions that I've gotten before is like, in worst case scenarios, for example, if I lose my job or if, my finances are lacking a little bit right now, like what if, like
Yeah,
truly what if? And so there are some people who are in a mortgage right now and they unfortunately do lose those jobs because as we're all aware, it is a tough time right now and
it
there
is.
are a lot of layoffs that are happening and so it is a tough reality. So I like this question a lot. And if you are in a mortgage and you are scared of these things, go to your lender right away. Don't don't hesitate. Go to them. They're going to have some options for you. They're used I don't want to say used to seeing this, but they are, aware that these are realities and so they will work with you if you give them the opportunity to. Don't hide anything.
That's right.
And I think that that's the biggest thing that I can say with this question is if you are concerned, you're a first time home buyer, you might be one of those people that are worried about losing their job. Be upfront with myself, with you, with everybody involved. Always, always, always be upfront. And on my end too, like when I'm pre-approving, because it's always going to come back to that pre-approval for me.
Right.
When I am pre-approving you, I'm going through the stress test. So like you are always going to be approved based on either 5.25% or your contract rate plus two. So I'm already giving you that buffer and I'm already trying to make sure that you, if there are downfalls, speed bumps, road bumps, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
if you're experiencing those things, I'm already making sure, and the government laws and things like that are already making sure that you are safeguarded. So, yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice would really be make sure you're upfront, be honest. It'll get you so much further, even though it does take you out of your shell.
Yeah.
Um, but again, no offense, just tell us what's going on.
Tell it how it is,
Literally,
right?
tell us, no offense.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to work on, I think, in our industry, because sometimes we're so hungry for our clients, because
Yeah,
realistically is we work on contingency, right?
yeah.
We don't get paid until you see results. And sometimes not everybody is getting their client the results that they need to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of ways that people can spin it and maybe they want to turn a blind eye to these
Yeah.
fears and I'll say it, like no offense, you're not going to offend me
Yeah,
because I'm not going to offend you because we're always going to be a team and work together and
that's
make
right.
sure that it's all about honesty and communication,
That's right.
especially in this industry. So honestly, no offense to me.
Yeah, it's
Tell me what's up.
transparency. Transparency is so key in this. And is there another question that you would put out there as well?
You know, I would just say like if they're asking me another question,
Yeah,
oh, it's so tough when buyers are just so hungry for what they're looking for and they want they want to know so many different things like,
yeah,
how long does it take to be pre-approved and why is it taking so long and why do we need all these documents and things
yeah.
like that? And honestly, my answer for documentation is very, very simple. Like, don't you want me to have all the information?
That's right.
Don't you want me to be able to make the most informed decision about your finances because the more that I know,
Yeah,
the more that the lender knows and the more that they're able to make an educated decision and make sure that you are verified, make sure that you are going to be able to afford it. And I think that that is a really good thing because think about it. If somebody just off the street walks up and is like I want a mortgage, they have no verification. Now that person is,
yeah,
locked into this legally binding contract
yeah,
and all I had to do was collect some documents and that could
yeah.
have all been avoided and we wouldn't put people in bad scenarios. So for me, if it's all about documentation, like really don't fight it. It really is going to help you in the long run
A
and
hundred percent.
it gives so much more information and verifies so much more, and just it's way, way better. So
Well,
embrace it.
yeah, exactly. And those are great points. Um, for me, I think one of the things that is the most important thing is like, as a realtor, you please don't call us until you have a pre-approval. There's nothing
Yeah.
I can do for you. We don't want to waste your time because
Mhm.
we're literally going to just be spinning our wheels and getting nowhere because we might not even be looking at something that you're approved for, right?
Yeah.
And this is why you need to connect yourself with a great, great mortgage agent like Christina right here. Um, there's one question that I find that some buyers are missing when they are trying to buy in this market. And I think that's part of the reason why you and I kind of connected, because we were talking about some of the questions that people are missing, because people are, you know, 3, 5, 10, 15 years ago, people were just running out to buy properties
Yeah.
because they could,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now people are in a position where they can, and some people are in a position where they want to, they want to purchase. They're not sure
Yeah.
where and if they can, but these current interest rate changes, they do affect home prices today. And one of the important things to ask your realtors, how do these interest rates affect the prices in my preferred neighborhoods?
Ooh,
Yeah.
love it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, because one of the things that we're missing here is that, some people are saying, "Oh, well, somebody's selling their house over there for 300K less, less than what they should have, they
Yeah.
should have sold it for.
Yeah.
I could probably get a deal too." Is that your neighborhood? Is that the neighborhood that you're looking at? Is that the type of house that you're looking at? And
Yeah.
is that even your budget?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, that's a really important question. And the reason why is because if your realtor isn't an expert in your neighborhoods, they need to become an expert. They need to educate themselves and educate you on exactly what you're looking for and what you can expect in those areas. For example, if you're looking on a very specific street and that's the street that you want to buy on, and if things are selling for over 1 million, but your budget's 800,
Yeah.
you got to look elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
And this helps understand, how those fluctuating rates, they still affect the market in other neighborhoods, but some neighborhoods, you can admit it, they hold their value,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's this huge misconception that because some markets in real estate aren't doing so well, or certain neighborhoods aren't doing so well, that it's just across the board, and that's not true.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah.
think that that's really good point. I think that that's something that people aren't really taking into consideration or asking or anything like that. But then that also kind of then reminds me and makes me want to switch gears from buyers to sellers,
Yeah.
right? So like if you are in a specific neighborhood or something like that, like let why don't we go to the seller's perspective?
Right.
Let's hear it. What are you hearing on that end?
I think a lot of sellers are still I think everybody who wants to put their house on the market for sale
Yeah.
or has their house up for sale right now, for the most part, I think we all want to make the most amount of money for our property. And
Yeah.
for some people, some people have made some crazy investments in their home. They have, they've made some beautiful, upgrades and renovations that they feel has added that value.
Hmm.
For example, they bought their house for, let's say, 800,000, they pumped in 200,000. Now they're at 1 million, right?
Yeah.
And now they think they should get a 1.5, right? Now the market decides what you're actually going to get. And
Yeah.
that's something that I have to often bring sellers back and put that into perspective. And I think a lot of homeowners and a lot of sellers, or even people that have, are thinking about putting their houses on the market, you really, really need to be a little bit more introspective in that sense, because you really need to look within and really understand what the market is going to offer you, because real estate, at the end of the day, you are going to fetch, you are going to get what the market's dictating. It's not what you think. I mean,
Yeah.
I think most of us think our homes are worth, way more than market value, but something to consider even before you do renovations, even before you start doing crazy
Yeah.
upgrades, is how long are you going to be in this property for? And this is another question that I ask my clients. It's a tough question, right?
It is.
Yeah. How long are you going to be here for? Are you going to be able to enjoy this for the next 7 years? Because you're pumping in, it sounds to me like you're looking to pump in 120K here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So those are some tough questions, especially when people are buying fixer uppers too, right?
Yeah.
Because they think they can flip them. They think this is 2010 and it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's such a good point,
Yeah.
and I'm happy you shared that perspective. So any other questions that you might find that you're getting from the sellers right now?
Well, one thing that I do go over with my sellers that sometimes can be really tough, is we always talk about what they can realistically expect
Okay.
to get for their home based on what they listed at,
Okay.
right? Not just based on what they listed at, based on the market, because sometimes people still have that mentality going through the sale that they're going to get X amount, right?
Okay.
And perhaps, like I said, maybe the market dictates differently. So I always go through the different scenarios. Hey, if we got, X amount for your house, is that something that you'd be looking at to negotiate? So I almost kind of
Mm.
pre-close them,
Yeah.
give them that scenario. Hey, let's just say we got this offer.
Yep.
Would you accept? Right. So I kind of bring them to that happy place and also to the happy place of understanding, right?
Yeah.
From a market perspective, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
It's the question that I've kind of prepared for this too goes so well with the two that you've just said. And it's like, will I be able to afford my my next home after selling this one? And so, like selling price is so huge on that, because you have to be able to think, okay, how much equity am I going to, how much equity do I have in this house right now?
Yeah.
And will that then pay off my current mortgage, my closing cost, my legal fees, my realtor fees, all the different fees that you're going to
Yes.
have, right? And then will you also have some money left over that you can then put into your next property? And will that be enough of a down payment? And so I think that that is so important for sellers to think about as well, because I think that most sellers are kind of just like, oh, I'm going to get it.
Yes.
I'm going to sell my house for 1.1, 1.2, whatever. And perfect. Now I can go buy another house.
Yeah.
And they don't think, oh, wait, I have to pay
Yeah.
6 people
That's right.
and before I actually receive
Make
any,
it rain, baby.
like exactly. Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like you have to think about these things. So
Yeah.
for me, I want to tell sellers, make sure that you're having conversations first with honestly a mortgage agent
Yes.
too. Don't just go to the realtor, because
Yes.
that's only one perspective. You're
Yes.
still then going to have to be qualified for your new home at some point.
That's right.
And do you have enough to put into that? Do you have enough? Have your financial situations changed?
Yes.
Like, have you had kids? Are you
Are
now are
are you
you
gonna
now
have
putting
kids?
finances
Yeah.
into that? Have you recently gotten married, divorced, change of jobs, new debt, all these things need to be considered before you buy that next house too.
That's right. And these are actually questions that I go through with my clients as
Yeah.
well after the fact. You would be shocked at how many times I actually ask these questions because sometimes I
Hmm.
feel that my clients is like I feel like they're surprised sometimes when I tell them,
Yeah.
"Hey, your closing costs and
Yeah.
this and that and the other." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, like I didn't think that I would have to get a moving truck." I'm like, "Do you have a truck? Do you have people that are going to help you?
Yeah.
Does your furniture fit in the space?" It's all the questions that go into the planning, and really it's almost like if you don't what's that saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
So it really does start with you, like
Yeah,
and you are very factual in what you provide your clients with.
for sure.
Yeah, it's a
I
matter of fact.
it really is like it it kind of is very black and white in my field.
Yes.
Like there are not a whole lot of variables, and that's why I think it's very funny, because it's kind of it is funny when people are like, "Well, what are the rates right now?" Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, "Okay, well, I actually need to know specifically like three or four things, and then
Yeah.
I can determine that." But they're like, "Yeah, but that's not like that much information." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's very black or white when I do get that
That's right.
information." So yeah, it might not seem like a lot, but it is.
Absolutely.
And so it's funny. But I don't do you have any other questions for sellers? I have one more.
I'd like to hear yours.
Okay, so I kind of keeping on that sense of like planning and things like that. It's like, what about if I break my mortgage because I'm trying to sell my house? that's a very real possibility, right?
Yes.
And it's a very real
Happens all the time.
it happens it's a very real
Yeah,
scenario, right? So I think the best thing to do is know what your closing costs are or what your prepayment penalties are going to be.
that's right.
That's what's going to be very, very important. And it differentiates between fixed and variables. So, if you're in fixed, it's either going to be the greater of either 3 months worth of interest, or it's going to be your interest rate differential. And so be aware of that. If you're in a variable, it's going to just straight up be that 3 months worth of interest. But being aware that you might have to pay those penalties might impact when you do sell.
Your decision, right?
Yeah.
When you sell and when you buy.
Yep. It might be the deciding factor of like, okay,
Yeah.
do I and it might not be that much money,
Yeah,
but it's still something to consider,
that's
right?
right.
And so I also want to make it known like you also can, port your mortgage potentially if that's in your terms and conditions. You might be able to do like a blended mortgage. You don't know. And I think that that's why I think we go back to not to make it about me, but like, yeah, have conversations
Yes.
with a mortgage agent like myself because they're going to give you options and there will be options to either, you know, remove those penalties or at least minimize them.
Yeah.
I think that that's really important is to minimize and you're not going to know that without having conversations and planning and preparing
Yeah.
and making sure that you know all of your options. I think that that's really really important. So, really, I think just everybody needs to have some good people on their side, like yourself
Yeah.
and myself, so that you can feel confident in either buying or
That's right.
selling.
That's right. And like I said before, I'm super transparent. I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions, and
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you asking me tough questions
Yeah.
either. And this should go on for, I mean, every area of your life, but when we're talking about real estate, I think it's really, really important to not be afraid to communicate your needs, your concerns, and any questions that you feel lingering in the background to your mortgage broker and to your realtor, because at the end of the day, we are partnering up with you for what is most likely the biggest purchase of your life,
Yep.
right?
You said it. You
Yeah.
said it. And so with that, we wanted to kind of give some coping mechanisms or advice
Yeah.
for buyers and sellers as they go through the process. So I'm gonna rhyme off a couple
I like
and
that.
we'll see what happens,
Yeah.
right? So I think the first one is like, how do you manage your stress during the process? And you might come about as like, just simply because of the amount of tasks or timelines, paperwork, that all might be what is causing you the stress. So how do we kind of eliminate those things? Honestly, break it down. Focus on one task at a time. If you're in a pre-approval, stick with the pre-approval process. If you know you're going out for the home search, focus on that.
Yeah.
Just focus on one thing at a time. Don't think of the whole process as one big thing.
I like that.
I think you're going to like this one even more though.
Okay.
Schedule self-care.
Yes, that's so important.
Like, I think it's important always,
Yeah.
but I think it's really important during the home buying process.
Yeah.
I think you need that. You
Absolutely, you need
need
it.
that reset.
Yeah.
So do that for yourselves. And then also I was thinking like focus on the things you can control rather than the things that might be out of your control. Like don't stress about the rates.
That's right.
Don't stress that, that house was sold before you got there. Don't stress about these things.
Yeah.
Out of your control.
That's right.
Just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
It might be hard, but just enjoy the little things. Some things are going to be out of your control. And then we've talked about this actually a lot throughout this whole webinar. Set realistic
Oh,
expectations.
yes, please. And this is where I'm like, no offense, you're being unrealistic right now. I've told my clients, I'm like, this is out of like this is out you're getting out of
Yeah.
control. Like I've told my client
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. You know that this is not in your budget. You cannot keep like sulking or wondering the what if I could afford it.
Yeah.
When you can afford it, we'll cross that bridge when you get there. And that's right. Like set realistic expectations
Yeah.
and stick to them. Stick
Yes.
to them.
Literally,
Yeah.
yes. And that actually brings me to my next one, where it's like focus on the long-term goals and make sure that those are at the forefront. Make sure that those are what you are focusing on and motivated by, and those are the things that keep you going through the process.
That's right.
don't get distracted.
Yes.
Just focus on those things.
Yes.
And then I also have seek support.
Yes.
Seek support. That might literally just be like calling a family member or a friend,
Yes.
and you might just have to say it out loud, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes just releasing it out is exactly what you need. And I'm a big fan of that. So we thought we would share that little tip with you. And then obviously, in the same breath, it's like call you, call me.
That's right.
We are your support systems throughout the entire home buying journey. So why not utilize us?
That's right. And we have resources that we can even point you to that
Yep.
can actually set you up for even a more successful sale. You know, it may not even be real estate related what you're stressing
Yep.
about, but it has to do with your finances, your relationship, your job, whatever.
Yep.
You just never know who we know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly that. And so those are our little bits of advice and coping mechanisms, if you want to call them that. And so should we open it up for a couple of questions if there are any? I'm
Sure.
seeing some people
Some
around
people here.
here, but I'm not sure if we'll have any. But if we do, we'll answer them. If not, and you've made it to this part of the live or the recordings, email us,
Yes.
shoot us a text,
DM. You can send
D
me a DM, no
yep, DM
problem.
us, literally reach out. We
Yes.
are ready for that.
100%, guys. It's been a slice.
Yep.
It's been so good. Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers, my
cheers.
friend.
So how can they what is your social so that if people see this, what can
Yes. So my socials are Marcella Torres official. I'm gonna say it onto yours. So it's Marcella official. And that's where you can reach me. You can always you'll find all my contact details on there, my
Yep.
email, phone number. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And Christina,
Yep, I'll say it to yours too. So Christina A. DeMarinis dot mortgages is my Instagram. You can also just go to my website, christinademarinis.ca. All my info is there. Email me, call me, text me, DM me. I'm happy to help no matter what. So again, cheers. This was
cheers, my friend.
amazing.
I like
Loved
this.
it.
Okay. Bye, guys.